Hello, everybody. Welcome to impromptu. Yes, I love using that word. It's great.
It's such a big word for you.
Such a big word. Impromptu. We transfer update special. Joe Aribo has left Rangers Football Club. Not the biggest secret in the world, but now that it's been confirmed, I thought we would just jump on and give our thoughts very quickly. I am joined by Scotty. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm awesome. And you sound so clear, my friend.
Well, let me tell you something. I, especially for the Rangers rabble, have gone out and bought myself a microphone.
And then moaned at me wanting the money back for it.
I'm still waiting for my allowance from a new chair. So I'm hoping it might not pick up the squeaks.
This my chair's as squeaky as fuck now. I think you've posted me your old one.
It's definitely not those chips you've been eating.
No. Lee, how are you?
I am alright, mate. Baron's smashing up my room. I'm alright. I'm doing no bad. Warm.
Lee.
It's good to be back, though. This is my first podcast, I think, of the new season, so it's good to be back.
It's funny you should mention smashing up your room. Lee has taken the Aribo news really badly. So he's decided to tear down things from the wall.
I shot myself mad. I don't know what was going on.
Mate, playing life, honestly.
Yes. Hello to everybody who's tuned in. Hello to everybody in the comments. Hello to everybody watching on YouTube. Please do like and subscribe. Anybody watching on Twitter, give us a wee like, a retweet, and get your comments in. Get your comments in on YouTube. In about 5 or 6 minutes' time, once I hear the opening statements from the two gentlemen, I will open up the phones if you want to phone in and get your thoughts about Joe leaving. I'm trying to keep this a relatively quick transfer update because, as most people watching are probably aware, my missus is away and I'm currently babysitting. I say babysitting, looking after my own daughter. So if there's any interruptions, it's because she has interrupted me. So yeah, in about 5 or 6 minutes, 0141 628 7237 if you want to phone in and get your point across. Scotty, the worst kept secret, I suppose, and anything to do with Rangers transfer business lately. Joe Aribo was always going to leave and join Southampton. Now he has. What's your feelings?
It's one of gratitude. I think it's probably the best way that I'm feeling at the moment because there's many reasons for Rangers to be happy with this transfer. I don't think we can ultimately be delighted because we've lost a key player who's really consistent and plays in a lot of games. We probably haven't realised his full value, but that's just a contract situation, but that's another story. But ultimately, we've had 3 excellent years out of him, and he is going to go and get better, but I think he actually does need to play against better players to get better, because I think perhaps he potentially could start to look to stagnate. And we've got decent money for him. He's given us some absolutely quality goals, and I think from, if you think from where we were when we signed him to the football team and the football club that he's leaving, he is one of the reasons why, A, we got to the Europa League final, and B, we got the title, we got the Scottish Cup. He is one of the reasons why we managed to do that. So I am extremely grateful for his service to us.
Just on that point, Scotty, about playing against better players. I mean, he got all the way to a Europa League final. So, he could have got better staying at Rangers, playing in the Champions League, just to play devil's advocate a wee bit.
Yeah, no, I completely get that argument. But I think he needs to play against better players week in, week out, rather than, 12 games a season. He needs to be playing like 40 games. And I think internationally, he's not coming up against the caliber of players if he was, say, playing for England or a different European country. And that's no disrespect to the African Cup of Nations. It's just that Europe is a better standard of football. And I think he needs that just to better himself, be a bit quicker, probably be a bit more decisive and be a bit more clinical. And he can get away with it in Scotland. And yes, in Europe, you can show those flashes of brilliance, but he has the potential to be so consistent and so consistently good. And he needs to be able to play against those players to push him.
Can I just say, Scott, do you live next to Silverstone?
There is drilling going on outside. I I would stand up and close the window, but I'm not going to.
See, I thought that was me for a second. Like I hadn't took my earphone out, but I heard someone shout 5 minutes ago, and I was like, my first podcast back, and I'm already been a hassle.
No, it does. It sounds a wee tiny bit like Formula One. But Lee, you said before we started that you were gutted.
Mate, to me, mate, Aribo wasn't the one that I expected to leave. As crazy as that might sound, we were talking about everyone that could have left, and I knew there was a chance that he would have. But the way that things were going, that I would have saw Kamara going first, Morelos, like the Barisic and all that. To me, Aribo was one that I thought out of them all who was on the last year of the deal would have signed a new one. So I'm not angry that he's away. Like we're saying, gratitude. Like he has done so much for us. I don't really like speaking about it, but he gave us one of the happiest 12 minutes of our life in that final. But it was necessary. For me, it was necessary because we need to show that this player model is working. And fair enough, the Patterson one, but I think to me that was kind of an anomaly in the sense of this wasn't a player who played constantly for us, Patterson. And we did get like money based on his potential. I think this is the first signing where we brought in a player for pittance. We've built him up to the player that he is and then sold him at his peak. We always talk about how, we need to mix like bringing in players from their youth and bringing in players who are already at their peak and experience. I feel this is the first time in a long time that we've sold a player who we brought in, nurtured, and then sold for like good money in his prime. So it's sad to see him go, but I do think it was a necessary sell to show that the model's working.
Yeah, I'll come to you really quickly on that, Scotty, in 2 seconds. Right, the phone lines are now open. I will say really quickly, if the number comes through anonymous, it will not be answered. And I'm pretty sure most people watching will appreciate why. But if your phone number doesn't come up, then it most definitely will not be answered. So just double check that your phones aren't on withheld. And before we come to the actual figures, Scotty, because we don't actually know the actual figures. We've just seen what's reported. But Lee mentions it there. Regardless of how good a player is, regardless of how much the fans love him, how consistent he is, it's the player trading model that Rangers want to go by. And this is us seeing. Would you agree the kind of first signs of the fruition of that?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, what we would be doing is taking the money, buying a replacement with that money, an extra player, and banking some cash. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, true market value, 15, 17 million for Aribo, Nigerian international, plays so many games a season, quality player. And with that, you can buy 2-5 million players, bank the rest with add-ons. It looks like what we're doing is actually reinvesting quite a significant sum of that in his replacement by all accounts, what the rumours have heard. So the model in that respect does work. Obviously, we want a bit more. So it's really interesting to see, where we actually go from here. And I think what we will see going forward, when the next player goes, is probably more of a sum and perhaps more aligned to what I just said. The plan was there, hopefully. But yeah, let's see what happens in the next couple of days in terms of replacement signings and coming in. And I think that will give us a real indication of ambition for next season. But so far, if the rumours are to be believed, and that's all we can really go on at the moment, it is encouraging.
Yeah, just very quickly, Grant McRoberts, thank you very much for the super chat. I wish Joe all the best. Excuse me, this is the perfect test for him to play against the best every week. It just shows the state of our league. Is that a fair comment at the end there, Lee? It just shows the state of our league?
Not necessarily, mate. Like, fair enough, we know that our league, in comparison to the English Premier League, but we're never going to compete with that. But our league's poor, but I feel that's been a bit too harsh in the league because, again, he didn't come here necessarily just for the league. He came here because we could offer him European football, and that's part and parcel of what comes with playing with Rangers. I can understand the comment, but I think it's maybe a bit harsh on the league.
I know. If you want to get your points across, 01416287237. I'll take that point to you as well, Scotty. for Grant there. And again, thank you very much, Grant, for the super chat. It's much appreciated. Thank you for helping to support the rabble. I think every single Rangers fan, I can't think of any Rangers fan that will be in a mood or in any way disparaging towards Aribo for leaving.
No. And
I've even used that word correctly. My mind went blank and I just thought of the first big word.
No, you did well. Well done.
There you go.
Get a thumbs up. And yeah, I kind of get where he's coming from, but I think asking me, and I think I've made my views known on the attitude towards the Scottish game, and I think the narrative needs to change. I've made that point quite on a little bit of a rant on the last pod I was on, I think. So I'll not go down that route again. But if you look through the history of time, Scottish clubs have always benefited from the money that comes in from England from their players. Mm-hmm. What's happened over recent years is that that's dried up, particularly for Rangers. Now, being open to that market again and that cross way of trading, so where we're benefiting from getting Joe Aribo from the English leagues at a ridiculous discount, to then being able to sell him back to those leagues at an extremely large profit, this is exactly where we want to be, while benefiting from his skill set that takes us to a Europa League final. So we've really, really come out of this situation very, very well. As I said, it's probably just a bit unfortunate that we haven't got the fee that I think we should have got for him. But that's by the by in contract situations. But if we flip the narrative and say, or we change the state of our league and actually say, look at what a wonderful platform it is for players to come up from England to improve, to then go back to the highest level in England, that's exactly where we are. And that's exactly where we want to be. Because not only are we flourishing in Europe, but then we're also benefiting from that in a player trading model. Because if you look back to 2008, for example, the last Scottish team to get to European final was us. How many of those players then went down to England for large transfer fees? None.
No, none.
We had Kevin Thompson that was sold to, I think, Middlesbrough for like £2 million a year or two later. But then you flip it round and we look at our current squad now and the potential that's in that squad to generate large sums, particularly back to England, because that is the market that's got the most money and that's the one that we need to be open to. It's really encouraging. And that demonstrates the state of our league, because now we've got players like Lewis Ferguson in the state of our league going to Italy. Mm-hmm. We've got Josh Doig going to Italy. This is exactly what we want. We want other countries tapping into our market because it only boosts the value, it only boosts the profile of the Scottish game. And then maybe we'll realise that it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It is pretty good, actually, and we've got a lot of talented footballers.
Yeah, but again, that also comes from the marketing and advertising side of the Scottish game, which is pretty much...
It's not going to that.
Yeah, it's pretty much non-existent. Southampton, Lee, good move for Joe?
Yeah, you know what? I'd say that, because what were the teams linked to him? So it was Southampton, Palace, and was it Fulham, maybe? That were linked with them. There was three teams. I think he's one of those teams where I think, again, if you're looking at it as a platform, Southampton are showing that they can bring in players, especially like, you don't want to kind of like bring them up, but you look at Van Dijk and Wanyama for them. They came in and then they were obviously like punted a couple of seasons later for good money to a top 6 team. So I think Southampton are showing that for a player, like the same way that we would have done for Joe Aribo, mate, all those years ago. Listen, one up, you'll have a platform, you'll have a gateway to get to England. Now, I can imagine Southampton said the exact same thing. Come down and you'll have a gateway to the top 6 if you do well. I think Southampton have shown that these players do have a gateway to the big teams, and I think it would be a good move for Aribo. Because I fully expect them to do well in there. And maybe, for me, I said to some of my pals that I could see him moving to a Tottenham in 2-3 years. That's where I see him going.
Can I just say I've been distracted? There's been a few people in the comments. CGM, why is Lee so far away? J-Mac,
I know it. I've noticed it. I don't know why, because when I tried to turn the camera on the side, it went upside down. So I just look like a wee Wayne waiting at a school desk here.
You look like you're on parole from Her Majesty's Finest.
It would help that he didn't destroy his infrastructure before we came on.
Yeah, it would help if he didn't smash up his room. Yeah.
Aye.
Right. Look, I was going to leave this till the end, Scotty, but we'll talk about the fee. Before we do that, 01416287237 if you want to phone up and get your point across. Now, what I'm hearing, what everybody's hearing, because when I say what I'm hearing, what I see on social media, is around about 6 million plus add-ons. Now, whatever the add-ons may be, I don't know. It could be 10 million, it could be 5 million in add-ons. Nobody knows. Is it a year left on his deal? Could we really have asked for anything else?
I think it was a case that, or from what I gather, he had a 10 million release clause, which, in order for it to be activated, would have been had to be 10 million in cash. But obviously, we want more than that. So I think what's happened is we've got 6 million up front, 4 million in pretty much guaranteed add-ons, probably after, 2 million quid after 50 games, 2 million quid if Southampton survive this season or something. And then in order to, if you like, defer a payment, we might have gone, well, what sounds like an additional sell-on clause above that 10 million. So then it actually gives us a little bit more than just 10 million up front. Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably, that's the reason it's structured that way. Because from what I gather, Rangers had absolutely no intention of accepting anything other than a 10 million cash bid unless it was higher. So it would have had to have been a reason why it's structured this way. So that is my best guess. But as you said, no one really knows.
Nah, nobody really knows, Lee. And I would have said 2 years ago I'd be wanting no less than 25, 30 million for a player of Aribo's calibre. So the fact that it's went down to the final year of his deal has obviously hurt Rangers. I say hurt Rangers financially. We got him for a quarter of a million. So regardless of how much we sell him for, we're always going to make profit. But we could have made so much more.
Yeah, I can understand the frustration in that sense that we have kind of let it go down the last year. But the whole deal, because it is a release clause, like 10 million, like we're saying, we weren't going to get any better. What does annoy me is we're not really 100% on how this is structured. Like, if you look at that Fabrizio guy, 1 minute he's saying it's 6 million and it's 10 million guaranteed. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most about it, is there's no actual clear-cut evidence of what we're getting. The perfect scenario is that it is achievable, add-ons. And I've heard, whether it's true or not, that the sell-on clause is quite significant. I've heard it's around about the 30% mark. If that is true, then I think we've done well, considering it's the last year of his contract, because, like I'm saying, I'm in full belief that he will get another move and we will profit from it again.
No, I'm not going to go through all the different transfer news. 2 seconds, Scott, and I'll let you come in on that. I'm not going to go through all the different transfer news because we will have a show next week. And we're going to obviously have reaction to the pre-season friendly tonight. But if you want to get in on the Joe Aribo, if you want to have your phone up and have your say, then do it quickly, because after we finish talking about Joe, we will call it quits there. Scotty, sorry I interrupted you.
So I think I've had this mini rant before. I don't care about the transfer income. I care what happens to the money that we've got and how we spend it. So if it's 6 million quid and we spend it on 2-3 million pound players that replace Joe adequately, if not better, then fantastic. It's great. It's absolutely, that's what we want for Rangers Football Club. Because for some reason, and I think it's ever since the likes of Football Manager have come out and we start playing around with the club's finances, we're all of a sudden obsessed with the club's bank balance. I'm not in it. I don't support Rangers to support a club's balance sheet or a club's bank balance. I'm in it to support the club, the fans, everyone associated, and the team on the park. So as long as the team on the park does well, in theory, everything else takes care of itself. Now, obviously, we want a well-run football club, and we need to make sure that the governance and those in charge are doing their job effectively. And that's what we do. In terms of how much we receive for a football player, yeah, okay, we want to actually see value. But I'm more interested in what happens on the park. So I don't really subscribe. I don't get too worked up in, well, I need to know the figures of the deal. I need to know if we the guaranteed options. I genuinely don't think that's us up to us to know. And I think we all get bogged down in these, if you like, semantics of what youth players we should have 5 youth players in the first team or the first team. I can give two fucks how old they are. I just want the 11 guys on the park, a successful player trading model, whether that's we're selling players for £1 million, buying 2 for 300 grand, and then making the team better. That's a successful player trading model. But if you're selling players for 20 million quid and you're buying 2 players for 10 million quid, it's going to look a hell of a lot better, and that's where we need to get to. So we're working towards it.
Do you not think though, Scotty, that since 2012, Rangers fans have had more to look at than just a team on the park? We have an excuse to be paranoid when it comes to how the club's run, what's happening.
Okay, with the current board members, the current custodians of the football club, the level of scrutiny that they get compared to everyone else, and it's probably not just Rangers fans that they get this scrutiny from, which is really bizarre. It's a story for another day. At what point do we give them a bit of an allowance to actually let them get on with stuff? Because I don't think they ever. And these guys have been in charge for what, 6 years now? Yeah, okay, they've made some mistakes, but financially, they're putting the club on a secure footing. And if you look at where we were financially, where we are now, bearing in mind everyone scrutinises it, you can't argue that what they've done is for the benefit of the football club, not the benefit of themselves. So we have to. I believe there comes a point where we just need to trust what's happening.
Lee, for me, and I suppose if you're thinking pragmatically about the situation, you're thinking like Scotty. Scotty is 100% right, but 2012 in football terms and what happened terms wasn't that long ago, so that's fresh in most of the supporters' memories. So I think that for the foreseeable, at least, there will always be this fear that something could go wrong or the board running things right. And then, of course, you've got the tit for tat between Rangers and Celtic fans about, well, we sold him for this, we sold him for this, we done this, we done that. It's always tit for tat.
Mate, you're always going to have one eye on your finances after what happened in 2012. And I think that's where a large part of the frustration of how little we've sold Aribo comes from. Because we are talking about safeguarding the club and maximising like profits, and that leads into keeping the club on a good financial setting. But we've let it get to a situation where 1 year left in his deal, and we have to sell him for what is far less than what he's worth. But at the same time, we can't force him to sign another contract. So it's finding the balance in that sense, because we shouldn't have Morelos, Kent, and Aribo in the last years of the deal. We shouldn't have got to this situation, and that does come a small part from the fact that, one, you want to keep your best players, and 2, if you're going to sell them, you want to get as much as you can for them. And we all know that Aribo, if it was the 6 million, just 6 million, he's worth 3 times that easily. And that's what annoys me about not getting the money for him. I wish him well, but from that side of it, I know it's not entirely the board's fault for getting to that situation, but it does still annoy me.
But are you looking at it from a point of view where we've got 6 million or more likely 10?
I don't know, mate. I think regardless of what it is, I know that it's still less than what he's worth. But that, again, is not down. That's not the board's fault that he won't sign a new contract. The board have done well to get that for him in his last year, I'd say. But it's still annoying.
How many contracts that Rangers has Aribo had? Is it just the one? The original one we signed? Did he sign a 4-year deal?
Yeah.
So
just the one.
Okay, well, the bugbear is, after 6 months or 12 months of that deal, we kind of recognise that he is better or going to get better, significantly better, but we still left him on that contract with a 10 million release clause. Mm-hmm. Now, that should have been addressed pretty quickly. And I can imagine within 12 months of his signing the deal, Aribo wasn't looking for a way out the door, and he probably would have signed the contract either with an increased release clause, with an increased pay rise. So if we're going to ask questions, I would say that is the question that we need to be asking: what is actually happening? And I suppose that is a source of frustration, because it does seem to feel like we do have players, key players, entering into the last 12 months of their contract, and we're continually told, don't worry about it. But I'm not saying that's the board, But I am looking at Ross Wilson, who is supposedly in charge of these things, as to why he's telling us not to worry about it. And then we come into a situation where Aribo is aware of interest from the Premier League. So why would he sign a contract when he knows he's going to get a significant signing on fee, a significant pay rise, and the cost to these clubs is minimal because of that release clause in his contract? So why would he sign a new deal? Whereas 18 months prior to this situation is exactly when we should be going, right, okay, well, you've proved your worth. Let's give you what we think your worth is. Now, we don't know whether the conversations have been taking place. Again, everything within Rangers is locked down. But it does feel slightly negligent in that respect.
See, I would say that's where we need to learn a lesson with Bassey, because Bassey's just came off with an absolute brilliant season. And do we know how long Bassey's got left in his contract? Is it 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah,
that's Scooby.
So like, I know if it could be 2 years, it could be far away, but just at the back of my mind, I've got that where he's just came off the back of a brilliant season. This is the perfect time to tie him down again, for even if it's an extra year. So you get one more brilliant, because what we have the exact same season out of him next year that he had this. His value skyrockets again, but we've got the safety net of where we've actually furthered his deal for one more year than he had.
Right, we have 5 minutes left. If nobody phones in 5 minutes, then the phones will be closed. I'm disappointed that some of the regulars haven't phoned in, Scotty, because I know that you were looking forward. Because I don't think you've done a phone in yet, have you?
Well, I was supposed to do one yesterday, but someone let you down, so I apologise. Phone in, have a chat with me. Take the piss out of me. Can't take the piss out of me now because I've done my walls.
Yeah, I know. It's such a shame. Right, so Joe Aribo's left, Scotty. Do we have to replace him, or is Lawrence the replacement?
I don't think we'll get a like-for-like replacement for Aribo, because I think he's quite a unique footballer, and recognising his talents in someone else, you do end up inevitably getting someone so raw, and I do think we picked up a real gem. In terms of the position of the playing squad, I think, I've got a feeling, Gio is now trying to create his team, and I don't think Aribo would actually be a fit within that. If you look how he's utilised, or how he was utilised this last season, I think we're going to go back to a more wide, 2 wingers, central striker, probably more of a direct middle 3. So, we've seen Lawrence come in, who by all accounts likes a shot. Be interesting to see the role Lowry will play. I do expect a couple more players to come in, but that kind of Aribo style, perhaps not. And don't forget, we've still got Hadji to come back as well. So we'll see how he comes back from his injury.
Hadji's quite a bit away, though, isn't he? Lee,
Christmas, yeah.
What is it? Was it Christmas? Scotty Gio said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hadji's quite a bit away. Yeah. What about yourself, Lee? For you, Aribo sold, wee bit of money in the bank. Do we keep a hold of it, or do we go out and try and get a similar player, or do we already have that in Lowry?
Well, if you believe the rumours that are going about Twitter now, we'll try to get this French boy in, who a lot of people are saying is quite a similar player to Aribo. So,
don't say that, man.
if that is true, then it would say to me that Gio is trying to replace him and just completely takes down all the Scottish points there about a winger. If that is true,
just makes what Scotty said completely irrelevant.
See, I thought it was more of a winger.
No, mate, so it's saying that he's...
I've never seen him play, so I wouldn't mind.
So I've tried to do a wee bit of reading up on him. Be lying if I said I knew anything about him before. He's in the mould of Aribo, apparently. A little bit less physical, but a lot more fun to watch, is what the words were saying, what people were saying.
So he's more of a Lowry.
See, do you know what? I had this thought in the car, and I know I'm going to get shot down for it immediately, right? Because he's brought in Lawrence. Fair enough, I think he maybe more play out in the wing, but if he brought in this French guy and he brought in Lawrence, is there a chance that Gio didn't see Lowry as much as, like, in the first team plans as we did?
Right, that's enough of that. Thanks very much, Lee, for your comments.
You are rightly shot down for that. No, because I think, people panic about, where's the game time coming from? We played 70-odd games last season. Lowry will get minutes in 30-odd games. That's plenty for a 19, 20-year-old. If he plays well, he'll get more minutes, and that's what you'd expect. He is going to get plenty of game time. There's 11 players in the park. We play with 5 forward players. He's going to get plenty of opportunities.
As we told straight away.
That
See,
is
the thing is, I'm happy 25, 30 games. I think that's a perfect amount for him. I think that's a good level to have him in. And like you say, if he does well, why not more? It was just a thought, mate. I was driving home. I was thinking about all these players that were linked to Wayne signing, and
We haven't signed them yet, though.
Thought I'd bring it on and be a bit controversial. So why not?
Yes, well, right, Scotty, Joe Aribo's away. Looking back at his Rangers career very quickly, phenomenal. And he gave, and I put this on Twitter, and I will say it again. He made me dream for about 10 minutes.
I can't.
It's so solid.
I can't even think about it.
It's time at Rangers, but for you, Scotty. It's time at Rangers.
It's filled with gratitude. Thank you. That's, he's provided some sublime moments of brilliant football, some fantastic goals, some brilliant assists, some key moments in big games. That moment in his first season against Braga, shunted off to left back and scored that goal. What a player. And we will truly appreciate him after he's gone. And then we'll all enjoy seeing him in the Premier League, knowing that he played for Rangers. And as Lee says, I think he'll go on to, without disrespecting Southampton, bigger clubs within the English pyramid.
If Scotty can't mention it, Lee, can you mention it?
No, don't want to speak about it, mate. I still don't want to speak about it. Honestly, I think I watched the first compilation. Somebody put a video up on Twitter when I think it was just announced, the one with the dancing in the moonlight music, and I knew the whole time the song was coming, and the goal weaving. It's the first time I've watched it back since the final, and again I was just like, why did I bother? I'm still gutted, mate. But the player himself, for me, if you look at like you're saying, he scored the goal at left back. Braga scored the goal at centre forward against Frankfurt. Scored counters for the midfield. He was reliable anywhere you put him, and he was one of the players I remember when he signed. I was so buzzing when he came. I'd heard about him at Charlton before, and I was so happy that we got him, and he's been one of my favourite players since he came up. It's a shame.
No, sorry, Lee, carry on.
It's a shame that he's gone. Well, I don't think we'll find a like for like for him. We can try as much as we want, but I don't think we will. And I wish him well. And I hope he does. I know he'll do well. I hope he does well. I know he will.
Final word, Scotty. How far can Joe Aribo go, do you think?
He's got a lot of talent. Works on his consistency, his finishing. He could definitely end up in the top 4 clubs in England. I'm not gonna kid around and say that he will be a key player in any one of those, but he's definitely got the ability. Whether he lives up to it or not, it's not up to me. But
yeah,
he's a quality player, and I hope he manages to shine in England and internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's gutting, but the first kind of big sale of the season has been done. Joe Aribo has left for Southampton for a rumoured £6 million plus add-ons. So yeah, we'll be back tonight shortly after Rangers' first pre-season friendly. Thank God the football is back. I'm not 100% sure who's on yet. I think I've still actually to ask in the WhatsApp group. I think, Lee, you're on, Lee, aren't you?
Yeah. Mrs. is out for the night, so I've got free rein of the house. Sit and watch the football.
I know Scotty won't be, because Scotty, that's well past your bedtime, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This heat is wreaking havoc with my sleep.
It's making your skin look smooth as silk. But
do you know what? Someone said that to me the other day. You know, they said, "Oh, your skin's looking really well." I was like, "Has it?" Because I've been drinking shitloads.
You've been drinking shitloads for about 10 years. Anyway, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Please give us a wee like and a subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube so that you never do miss a show or a live show when they just pop up like this. If you're on Twitter, give us a wee like, a retweet, and give us a follow as well. I better let these guys go before they burn. So thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you all tonight shortly after Rangers thump Sunderland. Thank you for watching.